I guess the question is, who doesn't need a little set of paper stairs, right? Like, do those people even exist? All I can say is that I'm happy you're not one of them. It's just not as time consuming as you think it is, and it's not as hard as you think it is, which is not always the case with model making. My name is Lola. I am an architecture graduate, well, interior architecture graduate. I graduated last August, and now I'm just working and recording videos for you guys. I'm really excited to share this technique with you, so let's get into it, shall we? I have a diagram for you, which I prepared very kindly and from the bottom of my heart, which sort of explains this. So let's say you have a floor plan. On your floor plan, you can only see your treads. So you can only see the bits where you step on. What you would see on an elevation or a section are the risers, which is the red lines here. Well, you have a riser in between each of those treads, right? So to have a tread strip, which is what I call this part of the stair, and then we have two stringers, you will need something along the lines of this, which is nothing more than a riser first, and then you can basically take your floor plan and just add a riser in between each tread. And once you're ready and you have all your measurements and all your measurements drawn up on CAD or by hand, I like to print them out just because I can print loads of it, and I have loads of templates just in case. And I print it, I think it's black with 20% opacity, so that it's gray, just enough for you to see it, but not enough for it to bleed through the other side of the paper. Obviously, if you look inside here, you can still see the lines, the printed lines, but it won't show at all on the other side. I'm gonna teach you to make this in a second. I just want to explain in the case that you have a stair with landing. Obviously, if you have a long landing in between the steps, the process is the same. You would just keep the landing the same as it shows on your floor plan probably, and add a riser between the landing. It would just count as an extra step really. I just wanted to show you the diagram that I felt really proudly about. For materials, you'll only need what I have on my desk here, basically a couple pens, a metal ruler, a scalpel, some sort of glue, any glue that dries clear. This is why I avoid wood glue usually, because it leaves a yellowish tint behind, which is not very attractive. And I completely forgot to show it here, but you'll also need a piece of thicker card for your stringers. So after cutting one section of the template out, we're going to work on scoring the steps. So scoring is when you use the other side of your knife to make ridges on the paper so that it's easier to fold. I'll start here with the riser. You can sort of tell the riser is usually a little bit shorter than the tread. And we're just going to score all of them on the same side, on the printed side, because that's going to be the back side of the tread strip. Remember, you just want to create a fold. You don't want to tear the paper, so you just do it very lightly and precisely. Just run your blade through the paper and you're going to get little scores like that. Then we're just going to slice the tread strip out. If you've never used a knife before, I'll remind you here that you should ask for supervised help of someone who knows how to use a knife and who's happy to help you. And then we get to the trickiest part, which is folding. For this, you just need to make sure you start with the first riser, fold it inwards because the riser goes up, and then from there you just do a zigzag. There's no way this won't remind you of making a paper fan in preschool, because you're basically going to end up with a little fan. And then when you unfold it, you'll be face to face with the object that stole my heart. Isn't it so cute already? I get so excited. And at this point, we just need to cut out the stringers out of a thicker card so that we can give it structure, and then you'll have your little stairs. You can see here that I cut out each separate stringer and placed it right on top of the thicker card before taping them down securely, and then we're going to use the printout as a template to cut through both of those materials. And I'm going to save you some time and frustration here. Cut from the inner corners outwards, because if you do it the other way around, you'll probably end up with some cuts in your stringers that aren't very neat. Also, when cutting, it's much safer to cut sort of towards yourself because you have a better hold of the knife and more precision with where you're cutting when compared to cutting against your direction. I don't know if that makes sense.
And before you realize, you'll have all the pieces cut out. And it's always a good idea to go in and give it a little test, just in case something went wrong, just in case a measurement didn't match. But in this case, it did. So I went ahead and put some glue on a piece of paper, cut out my little applicator, which doesn't have to be fancy, just a little piece of paper. And we're gonna apply the glue very delicately with the applicator. I'm using white glue just because I think it's better for this purpose. UHU can be not so delicate. And then I apply it to the first couple steps. Very, very great recording skills here. Guys, I'm still learning. I'm sorry, I'll get better. And then basically we attach the first couple steps and wait for them to dry, just so that we have that anchored first couple steps, and then you can handle it a little bit better and it won't sort of slip and slide so much. After it's dried, you just apply the glue to all of the other steps. Having a little bit of excess glue is normal, so just wipe it off if there is any. I use my nail or a tool to sort of go in to the nitty-gritty 90-degree angles that sometimes sort of get lifted up. Make sure that it's right on the edge, because if it's perfectly aligned, then it doesn't look like it's separate pieces. It looks like we have one solid object. And I don't usually like the one object 3D printed feel, but these have a solid look that just looks so captivating and so like they fit in. I don't know. You'll know it when you have it, I promise. And the second stringer is much easier to attach, but I'm just making sure that there's no holes. And oh, isn't it so cute? So if you don't want the stringer to be fully solid, you can cut it diagonally before you glue it down. I don't usually measure it, to be honest. I don't know if that's good or bad practice, but I just go ahead and like make sure that it's a nice diagonal cut that is even. And then I do the exact same process, except that in this case you might want to cover the underneath of the stairs. I usually don't, but that's up to you.
I tried to make a spiral staircase, but I don't know, I haven't really succeeded fully making a spiral one yet. I will come back here and teach you how to make it once I've figured it out. It always seems like I haven't got the measurements right, even though I did. But yeah, I hope this helps. Let me know what you'd like to see next if you do enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, if you didn't, I mean, let me know too. I can always change the format of the videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!